Welcome back. This is Women in the Know. Rebecca and I talk each week about a topic that is prevalent in the franchise industry, in the news. We can talk about anything from politics and policy to relationships and marketing, from franchise growth to difficulties between franchisees and franchisors. Today's topic is leadership. We're going to talk about how now, during a crisis, the pandemic, it's a great time to see the leadership style and skills of franchise systems, especially those in the higher ups. The character of a leader, good or bad, is amplified a lot during a crisis. And so we think it's a great time to start looking at franchise opportunities, because you're really going to see who's stepping up and taking care of their systems and their franchisees and who's not. So Rebecca, what have you been seeing in that context?
I think you just said a mouthful there, Elizabeth. That we really do get to experience someone's leadership style when we are in a crisis. It's easy to lead any kind of business, including a franchise business, when everything is smooth sailing. There's no financial issues, there's no pandemic, there's no legal issues, there's no issues at all. That's easy to lead a troop a particular direction. But when you have a crisis like what we've been dealing with, you see the true leadership, and it's also going to have us highlight certain attributes that a leader might have. It's interesting. I've been in this industry, in this space for 27 years, and it's been fun watching franchisors step up to the challenge. And I think one of the biggest leadership skills is the skill of being decisive, even with not having a whole lot of data. It's a pandemic. We don't know a whole lot about it. We don't know how long it's going to last. But a true leader can take whatever data he or she has and still make decisions to move an organization forward. If we have someone who has trouble making a decision, that would be a leader that I would have a hard time following. That would be, as a prospective franchisee, someone I would have some concern with. If it's a franchisor who's made no decisions, but instead took a wait and see approach through this pandemic, it would have the red lights go off for me as a prospective franchisee. Is what's going to happen in the next crisis or the next situation? Is this person that's leading this organization going to be able to step up to the plate and make a solid decision?
I agree, and I think in the times that we've been talking to people, both of us on this podcast and on the Pillars of Franchising and through our individual businesses, we've seen some leaders really stepping up and making strong choices. When we talked to our first token man, Richard Lavelle, last week, he talked a lot about the things that they've been doing. They've had constant communication. They've had constant Zoom meetings with all of their franchisees. They've come up with new product lines that can be picked up at the curb, that can be sold online. They've done so much of the work to make sure their franchisees are supported. And those revenue streams will, I'm sure, continue when things do finally get back to normal. So I think that the timing of it seems crazy to look for something to do, but you may be jobless, you may an opportunity, and you really are going to see who's a shining star in the industry during a time like this. And it's going to, I think, benefit the franchise systems in the long run, because they're going to get the good people who really want to be part of something where they feel supported and they're not an island trying to figure out what to do all by themselves.
I totally agree. It's interesting because crises frequently creates fear. It's the fear of the unknown, and fear psychologically, neurologically, physiologically causes us either to fight or to flee, or in some cases to freeze, right? And so leaders in those situations have to be able to control their emotions and to control this fear and the natural instinct to either run or to fight or to freeze. It's an instinct that's within us. So a leader is able to get beyond that. They're able to kind of put their emotions on hold and step back and look at what's going on. Yes, they may be angry. Yes, they may be fearful. Yes, they may want to stick their head in the sand, but instead they step back and they go, okay, here's the situation. I'm a leader. It's my job to move this business forward. And like you pointed out, Painting with the Twist is an excellent example where the leadership stepped up, made some hard decisions, got innovative, didn't stick their head in the sand, didn't get afraid. Instead, they took action to adapt, which is, by the way, a skill that leaders tend to have in high quantities. Adaptabilities. Good leaders are adaptable. They know how to look at a situation and make informed decisions and adapt instead of freezing or going, no, this is the way we're going to do it.
Well, it's so true. And I think all of those qualities lend toward decision making as well, because when you take the emotion out of it, when you know that you have to step up and be a leader, during this time, decisions have had to be made very quickly. Mm-hmm. You know, the longer you sit on your hands and wonder what's going to happen next and what to do, you've lost so much money that you're going to start losing your people, and people are going to start, you know, it goes down the line. So being able to quickly act, you know, a lot of them have been helping people with their, you know, stimulus relief packages. They've been helping them negotiate lease abatements and things like that. So I thought that decisive nature of a leader too, saves time, it saves money, and it saves people's emotional states. What do you think?
And their businesses. Ultimately, it saves their businesses. Yeah. But I want to highlight what you just said, because I completely agree. Speed to decision is imperative, right? Mm-hmm. It is a leadership marker that we measure in Zorko profiles. In that, if you are someone who is slow to decision, and you got to have every single piece of data, and you got to look at it, you know, 14,000 different ways, the moment is now gone. This is a great time to step it up. So speed to decision, not just decisiveness, but speed to decision is so important. And the ability to suspend our emotions, at least temporarily, so we can make smart decisions. Those are all important attributes as a leader.
Absolutely. I think we are ready for our next segment.
Yay! Okay. Yay. All these segments are so much fun.